Welcome to Hot Cheese, the first episode under the new name. Aaron, my goodness, it's not a Nameless Packers pod anymore. I'm so excited about that. I'm your host, Brady Augustine. Today, we will be going around the league, talking about league news, talking about the NFC North. We've got a chef's kiss, some rookie highlights, chat about the Chargers game coming up. That's going to be a big one. I'm joined, as always, with my co-host, the lovely and the football girl, Aaron Knapp. Aaron, how are you feeling today?
Great.
Great. Well, there's some good football out there, but I'm going to let you kind of kick off the league news because this is AFC stuff, affects your side of things maybe more than mine, but there's a big injury news out there that you just let me know about just about a half an hour ago.
Yeah, so we're recording this on a Thursday, and if you have been not living under a rock, you have heard that Deshaun Watson is going to be out for the rest of the season with a shoulder injury, I believe. He's got to have surgery on his shoulder. They said that if he were to keep playing and fall on it wrong, he could potentially shatter, and really permanently destroy that shoulder.
So it's very vulnerable without doing okay. Yeah, I had not seen anything on any of those medicals or anything, but that affects your team too, right? Because
it does.
Who are these boys? Who are those Browns playing?
They play the Steelers this weekend.
All right.
Yeah.
You'll probably have your eye on that one now. With
Absolutely. It's going to be important that the Steelers are able to shut down the run for the Browns because they are going to be putting in their rookie DTR. Is that what they call him? DTR?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't pay any attention to.
I don't keep up with the Browns much because they're booty cheeks. I said it. But they do have a rookie who's going to be starting for them. And Cam Hayward was on Good Morning Football this morning talking about how the Steelers are preparing for this weekend, and they said they're just going to try to put as much pressure on him and make it a long game for him.
Well, and it sounds like a really good game plan when you have a young quarterback to make the quarterback beat you, which is something we were not even interested in doing when we played the Steelers.
Right.
So, so they've got the right idea. Browns, I mean, that's a difficult one. And we talked about, we don't really root for injuries or that kind of stuff. I did have to make a confession about Cousins in that particular discussion, but now, you had a question, too. I'm going to let you continue on because you had a really good couple of questions, thoughts, again, about AFC side of things.
Sure. So before the Watson news came out, everybody was talking about just how the Broncos disrupted the Bills on Monday, and that was a tough game. I mean, the Broncos, are they good?
Yeah.
What's going on? They were seeing a little bit of a spark from them. The Bills, everybody's asking whether the Madden curse is real. The Bills are a team that we should expect to see as front runners. Mm-hmm. We saw them there last year. The Bengals are also a question. Are they going to get hot? Because right now they're not. They're towards the middle of the barrel there. And last year we saw the same thing out of Joe Burrow, which is he came out of his appendectomy. He didn't have a great start to the season. And then they got hot right before the playoffs, and they ended up in it.
Yeah, momentum is so important in this game, and it's not just in individual games. It's from game to game, building it at the right time. So, yeah, they definitely could do that.
Yeah, and the surprises right now is the Ravens. I was really surprised to see these little sneaky
I know. That's an AFC North team there.
Coming
those little sneaky crows.
We don't like them.
Those little carrion pigeons.
They are really doing well, and they're right behind the Chiefs and in second place, followed up by the Jags. The Dolphins are up there, and the Steelers are actually up there, surprisingly. So the question is, the Jags, they've been known to fall apart. I mean, last year, everybody was saying that they were Super Bowl contenders, and then towards the end of the season, just like the Dolphins, they really just steamed out. And so is that going to happen again? That's what we're going to be looking for. The Lions, though. Lions are number 2 right now in the NFC, and that's a surprise. They are actually beating out the 49ers. The Eagles are still in first place. And, are the Lions going to stay hot, or are they going to cool off?
Right. And that is, everybody, and you said at the beginning of the season, too, many people, predicting them to win the North. But I don't think predicting them to be in second place in the NFC is something that a lot of people had on their radar, because there's still that seed of disbelief. And it still goes to, the way they finish out the season is going to make all the difference in the world. If they continue to gain momentum, teams like the 49ers now behind them, they're going to be playing home games in the playoffs. That's something that team has not seen. I mean, when Stafford and them went to the playoffs, That was at Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough row to hoe for any playoff team, especially one that hasn't been there a lot, still a young team. But boy, if they can have some home games, I think that'd be pretty important.
They have an easy schedule. We talked about this before. They have an easy schedule. So it's possible that we could see the Lions stay up there.
They could stay up there. And only one team getting a bye anymore. Extended playoffs, but things are definitely getting interesting, and they look like the kind of obvious favorite now in the North. Packers, on the other hand, are, I don't know, bottom dwellers, basically. I mean, we are one game ahead of the Bears by virtue of the fact that we've played one game less than the Bears right now. Of course, starting to get on some kind of a winning streak would help, but I think I'm going to let you take over because Dan Campbell in the North, and he's got this team playing pretty good football. You know,
he does.
It hasn't been perfect, but it's never expected to be.
It sure has been entertaining.
But he got himself a nickname.
Yeah.
Did you see that play or not?
I didn't see the play, and I can't remember who was talking about it this week because I've watched a bunch of either The Insiders or Good Morning Football or whatnot, but Big Balls Dan Campbell is what they're calling him up there in the North.
All right, up there in the North. I was trying to think. I was going to say what Matt LaFleur might be calling might be quite the opposite at this point. Like, yeah.
Probably. But, you know, he's been criticized in the past for playing too conservatively. And I guess then how he got this name was last week they played. And I guess they played the Chargers, I think, last week is kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I don't really remember.
I'm not sure. I can't remember. It's been a while, I feel like, since last week's game.
It feels like forever, yeah.
But we're talking 4th and 2. They go for it. They convert. We are 1:30 left in the fourth quarter, and this is to, I believe, win the game. So they went for it. They got it, and I believe they won that game. So
it kind of highlights, and they did that week 1 against the Chiefs, too. They had a very big early on, got the momentum going. It was really a game-changing kind of a play. And a lot of teams across the league are running the data on this and realizing that you're generally, in certain circumstances, better off going for it on fourth. But the one thing that it does that you're kind of highlighting is, damn, don't you want to play with a coach that's going to do that? Like, isn't that the guy I want to play with?
It's fun, yeah.
Same thing with the defense, calling it a little more aggressive, blitzing. You just want to play with it for that guy.
Yeah.
And I have nothing against it because Matt LaFleur tends to go for it on fourth as well. But Dan, he really does have that team playing well, and we've got them in 2 weeks. I mean, we don't have much time to prepare for at Detroit, a team that, you know, could be really gathering themselves for a significant run.
Yeah.
So,
and then as we look down towards the end of the season, we're going to have to really think about Josh Dobbs and whether he's going to be somebody we play too, because the Pastronaut, as they're calling him, is real, and he's playing some good ball right now.
And if if the Vikings fell ass backward into this kid, and he turns into what it kind of looks like he might be able to turn into, that's a game changer for those guys. That is such a game changer for them because they need to turn a page here at some point. I think they know it finally. But I don't want that to go well for them. I don't want him to be the Pastronaut. I'm going to think up something. I want him to be the Pastronaut.
Oh, no.
It was a pretty good turn of phrase, though, don't you think?
I have a hard time not rooting for him because he's a UTK boy. He's from Knoxville, which is right down the street from us.
Yeah. And they probably beat the living crud out of ETSU when you were there. Or did they not? They're on the same.
When I was at ETSU, we did not have football.
No, that's right.
It was very lame.
Had to revive it, but
I like to pretend I didn't go to college there. Sorry.
All right. Well, turning to the Packers, we had some really good news come out. A couple of inductees to the Packers Hall of Fame were announced. Aaron Campman, of course, you've heard it, and Clay Matthews. And so this is a really good, you see these guys, sometimes they leave under not the best circumstances. And when you have a guy that has played really well for your team and you get a chance to sort of bring him back in the fold, it's really a good feeling. Biggest example of that would be Brett Favre, right? He played for the freaking Vikings and brought into Lambeau and beat us. Aaron Campman in particular didn't leave under the best circumstance. I don't know if all of you recall, but that was when the Packers were transitioning from a 4-3 defense into a 3-4. He was a little bit of a miscast in that particular defense. It's a little bit different body types that you're looking for, but was always a fantastic player. So glad to have him in the Packers Hall of Fame. Totally deserve it. Love you, Aaron. We've had all kinds of great memories with him. And of course, Clay Matthews, I'm going to throw at you, right?
Oh, no.
Do you know the term spill it, pick it from Super Bowl 45?
Okay.
Have you heard it?
No.
Probably? You haven't. Okay. So Clay Matthews, you probably remember the fumble that Clay Matthews caused in the Super Bowl, though, right? That was the turning point of the game. And Clay Matthews walks up to Ryan Pickett right before that handoff. Packers fans will remember this like it was yesterday. And he taps Pickett, smacks him on the ass and says, "Spill it." So spill it is take the inside lane as hard as you can. Okay. So what happened is Pickett spills the inside and turns the hips of the offensive lineman as the ball comes around, and it swings the door wide open for Clay Matthews to stick his helmet on the football and dislodge the football. And that was really the turning point of the game. So there are clips of, one of our coaches, it's neither here nor there, but just looking at Clay Matthews and saying, "It is time. It is time." Coach Green saying that to him. And then he goes out and does this, and it's just one of those fantastic things. So Clay Matthews, congratulations. These are both well-deserved. Guys. Yeah, well-deserved. So, all right, we've got, now, I have a play of the game. I have a chef's kiss. Yeah. You have some rookie highlights you wanted to talk about.
Some rookie highlights for you guys. It's been a hard season, but we've started to see a little glimmer of hope in the last couple games. And I ran across this stat this week with 3 of our new rookies, and they've either gotten a lot of praise or a lot of hate this season so far, and I just wanted to highlight a few of them. So let me grab my stats here. We've got my boy, Anders Carlson. I just want to highlight him a little bit. He's been doing so well. We've talked about that, but the stats show that he's 13 for 15 on his field goal attempts, and he is 16 for 17 on his PATs. Yeah. Which is so great. I mean, you can say all day long that he's doing great, but to see the stats, he's really playing consistently for us.
Sure. And let me just quickly, Mason that he took over for, usually your kicker is your leading scorer all time. And Mason he's taking the place of the leading scorer all time for the Green Bay Packers ever. Yeah. So that's big shoes.
Yeah, big shoes.
Good to see. Well done.
He's doing well. And then Luke Musgrave, he's got over 400 snaps for the season, 313 receiving yards, and 1 receiving touchdown. So he's really starting to show a little shine for us.
Yeah, he's always looking good. Like to see more of those TDs keep coming. Those are nice.
For sure. But the snaps, I mean, my goodness, he's already getting his hands on it. So then we've got Ol Reed, who's one of our boys. He's got over 300 snaps, 417 receiving yards, and 4 receiving touchdowns so far on the season.
He's really coming on. I mean, that's fantastic. Yeah. So speaking of Reed, that's my chef's kiss, is the touchdown pass to Jaden Reed. I do want to highlight our special guest will get on and talk about it, and I will send you to a place where you can really watch the breakdown, which is it's just great. It's fantastic play design by Matt LaFleur, well executed by the offense. We talked about the same thing with the Hollywood play last week with Luke Musgrave, that when this team executes Matt LaFleur's offense, and it's well called, I mean, there's times when you could disagree with the call, but our offense, as young as it is, has shown glimpses of being really pretty dangerous. And this was one of those examples. So they went 4-by-1. So they had 4 wide receivers on the right, 1 wide receiver on the left. They had Luke Musgrave on the left and 4 guys, quads, on the right. So if you're a defensive back, you're going, I think I'm in trouble right now. They spread them out, but they kept in both Luke Musgrave and they kept in Aaron Jones, I'm pretty sure it was, to chip block. Because the route development they had was, and I'm not sure exactly what the drop is, but this is a slower developing, longer play. As you know, it was a touchdown. So the chip helps with that. The coverage held up front, and Jaden Reed out there, he makes a move. They draw off the coverage carrying the vertical, and then Reed comes underneath it and just reads that he's got green grass, breaks across the field, and it's that if we're level, if you're level, you're leaving. And so you see him come to level as I think it was either the safety or the corner. He kind of steps up. He cheats in a little bit because it's 3rd and 16, right? So you can imagine as a defender, one of my concerns is if I can just stop him before the yard marker, we can bring up a 4th down. You got to be thinking about that. And Reed just takes him, breaks it, takes it to the house. Yeah. Beautiful pass, by the way. Absolutely beautiful pass. And Jaden Reed, touchdown. Well done. I mean, that was pitch perfect. I love that so much.
Chef's kiss right there.
It was.
It's a good one.
All right.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So turning over to the latest, Packers versus Chargers. Packers could use to find some wins in this stretch that we've talked about. Not an easy stretch at all. You know, you got the Lions coming up. We've already have to deal with, teams like the Chiefs. So for me, I wanted to bring out the kind of overall team rankings for these teams, both of them right now, because this game has been called the Battle of the Bad. I heard that today, and I don't want to believe that.
Okay.
But I can't disagree at the same time as much as I'd like to. So right now, offensively, the Packers are 23rd in the league, total offense. The Chargers 16th, so a little bit better than we are. Keep in mind these stats are based on just yards only, so not the greatest stat. And I think, if we can find some red zone success, that makes a big difference. But their defense, the defense of the Packers right now, in terms of yards given up, with all the criticisms we had, we're ranked number 9 right now. Okay. We're a top 10 D. Chargers are 28th. So as bizarre to me as that sounds, with the pass rush they should be getting, their defense is 28th. They give up a lot of yards. So again, if we have some success offensively in the red zone. Passing wise, Packers 23rd, Chargers 10. Okay. So now they're up in the top 10, and we are bottom dwellers. Makes it for a very interesting competition right now. Rushing wise, we're about the same. Packers are 24th in the NFL, Chargers 23rd. So the battle of the bad, yeah, this could be that. And I don't know. We're going to talk about the over or under. I guess we're not quite there right yet. But to go into keys to the game for me, I don't know. This looks again like one where either it's a field goal or it's a turnover battle. If the Packers can find a way to win the battle of the turnovers. We've had some, we have had some mishaps in that regard. The Chargers defense is very good at taking the ball away. I think they've forced at least, I think they've forced 8 fumbles already this year. Okay. So obviously the turnover battle, but getting into some kind of sync offensively, we had a fast start. I mean, the Steelers scored on us right out of the gate. The defense not really performing, but the Packers answered early in that game. So I think a little consistency, first half touchdown. Let's get one at least, and I think we'll be in this game.
Yeah.
Now, do you have anything on the line for this game? Are you putting money on this one?
No.
No. It's not a good one. It doesn't feel right.
The line is they've got Chargers -3, Packers +3, over under is going to be 43.5. You do have Keenan Allen, who's questionable. They say he is just day to day. He's a big playmaker for them on their offense for the Chargers. Still have Eckler out there to play. But those two guys last week were their big playmakers. And I think Keenan Allen maybe had 1 or 2 touchdowns last week. And so that's going to be a big question that we might have to answer or might not have to answer.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that would be a big hit for their offense. And I mean, Herbert's the real deal. The man can make every throw, and Eckler's dangerous too on a defense that we're not really that confident can stop him at this point. But
how are we looking on injuries?
We're doing better. Ja practiced. It's Thursday again, and Ja practiced. He was limited in practice. So we've still got our guys that are limited right now, but I think he is on track to play as Aaron Jones continues to get healthier and hopefully the offensive line starts to perform a little better. That gets A.J. Dillon going. I think we're getting to the point where, Quay practiced. If you can get Devondre Campbell on the field. We haven't fielded our full team for so long, it's hard to even recognize what that might be. But I think moving forward, if we can start to get a little bit healthy and just start to see more of who we are, I think we're headed in the right direction at least. At this point.
This is definitely going to be a good test for us. Last week was a good test for us on offense, and this is going to be a good test for us too. I mean, if we can stop Herbert and we can answer them, because I know they're going to put some points on the board, and we've got to be able to put some points on the board too, and limit theirs.
Yeah, so, again, a top 10 defense in terms of yardage sounds great, but we've seen, we saw the way we swung the barn door wide open for a touchdown on the ground in the red zone. If we can start working on some of that, I think the Packers will be in this game. If they don't, you just don't want to go into this game relying on your young offense that's just starting to get its feet under it.
Yeah.
Defense needs to perform in this one, hopefully they will. So,
yeah.
Well, Aaron, once again, somehow, some way, we have brought on one of the premier Packers podcasters out there, a guy I've honestly listened to for years on Pack-A-Day. And Dusty Evely is with us today.
Yeah.
You ready for a special guest?
I'm so excited.
Should we bring him on?
Yes.
Let's bring him on. Dusty, we want to say we just appreciate you coming on so much with us. I know you're busy and you obviously do some great work out there. We'll talk about that later. But first of all, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Yeah, thanks. Thank you all for having me on. I'm I said I talked a little bit beforehand. Always hyped to talk football, so I'm hyped to be here with you today. I'm doing good, man. You know, I've got most of my writing video stuff is out of the way for the week, so now I'm in the point of the week where I'm just digging into random curiosities about the Packers while I try to kill time for their next game. So I'm doing great, man.
All right. I have known you for years from Pack-A-Day, and I thought I saw a tweet. Are you guys recording that today too, or?
Yesterday we record on Tuesday, so I came out today.
Okay.
Wednesday, but yeah, we record Tuesday nights usually.
Okay, I peeked around for it. I must have missed it, but yeah, definitely catch you there. Well, we got some questions for you. You are very well known for your Packers analysis and stuff like that, and Packer Nation just kind of eats that up. So if you don't mind, I'll ask you a few questions.
Yes, let's do it, dude.
All right. So my first one is, it's been a disappointing season. When I re-looked at and watched the tape on the Steelers game, which was, again, a very disappointing game that ended particularly disappointingly, but I actually was fairly encouraged. Is there anything, you can go back to the beginning of the season or this past game or things that you've seen on tape. What encourages you? What would you say to Packer Nation when they really just need to get picked up in a discouraging season?
I really like the design of their offense. I'm a big fan of that. I've mentioned that I think a handful of times. What's been holding them back has been execution, and we've seen as the season goes on. I think the flexibility of what LaFleur has done with some of that stuff, where I think he came out the gate going, "We're going to run this stuff. I've got these ideas. We got this complex stuff we want to do," and then it wasn't being run correctly, and so they scaled back for a few weeks. They got rid of a lot of play action. They kind of scaled back on motion. To kind of like reset fundamentals. In the past couple of weeks, I think the execution has been better. And so, I mean, which really, through all of this, you want to see improvement from the guys, right? And so I think the Floor's design of the offense and his flexibility in that, I think, has been really awesome. And then the other thing has just been the way some of these guys have responded and come on. I mean, we've seen Jaden Reed do some stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I think Musgrave has gotten better. Tucker Kraft, I think, has been noticeably better. So just kind of looking at the execution, looks like some of that stuff is cleaned up a little bit. Still some issues overall with some of those guys, but I think what you see on offensive defense, and you see some of these guys coming along, getting a little better every week, and then just the execution being better. I mean, the Steelers game, as I was looking through, looking through the numbers and stuff on that, it was offensively against a pretty good defense. The pass defense was not good, but against a pretty good defense, their best performance in terms of yardage, I think their most passing yards, third most rushing yards, most overall yards in any game so far this year. It was really just, I think they scored on 1 of 5 trips in the red zone.
Yeah, 1 of 5.
With one of those being obviously that one with whatever 3 seconds left in
right.
the game. So they moved the ball well, and honestly, the first half of the season they were a very good red zone team. Red zone stuff is not necessarily sticky week to week or season to season. So if they were able to punch in a couple of those, obviously one of the other interceptions, both interceptions, I guess, came in the red zone, right? Because the Watson one did as well. I think we feel a lot different about that, but obviously the score colors that a little bit. But I think in terms of how they operated this past game against the Steelers and how the past couple of weeks, really, the operation has looked way, way better. So I think that's something that you can take away, or at least that I take away. That's encouraging, along with, like I said, the design of the offense and some of the creativity that LaFleur has shown this year. I think has been really, really awesome to watch.
Yeah, I agree with that. One big thing, especially when you're looking at the Steelers defense being one of the best, I think, in the league, and where we've been offensively, we had equal possession. I think we had like maybe 29 or 30 minutes of possession this game, and that was huge. I mean, in the last few weeks, it's been, that struggle of letting your defense rest. It was constant 3 and outs here and there, and just couldn't get anything going. And that was a huge thing that I noticed in this game with the Steelers is we were on the field as an offense way longer than we have been.
Yeah, and that a lot of that goes down to, I know Love still had some accuracy issues. I think his first throw was a completion, but it was like a 9-yard out that Watson had to lay out and dive for. That needs to be on the money. So some of it was harder than it needed to be, but they were kind of functioning better than they were, which led them to be out there a little bit nicer, which was good. Like you said, you don't want, especially with whatever Valentine.
Oh, yeah.
Valentine. You don't want those guys out there any more than they have to be. So shoot the offense to the field as much as possible.
Yeah.
Protects him a little bit.
Absolutely.
Oh, without a doubt.
So you just mentioned a little bit about Jordan Love's accuracy problems. So I wanted to talk with you about, there's been a big, people are kind of divided on whether he's having an issue with Christian Watson. I thought that he had some good completions with Christian Watson during the Steelers game. He has had some issues connecting with him. And so I wanted to talk with you about, kind of get your read on what your thoughts are with that. Is it a Jordan Love accuracy problem? Is it a Christian Watson not playing contested plays, or is it a sophomore slump for Watson, or is it a little bit of both kind of thing?
Yeah, it's kind of everything, as boring of an answer as that is. I mean, so Love has had accuracy issues, and this was one. So early in this training camp, I guess there's a big emphasis for Love to put more air under his deep ball. That was something I think before talked about. They want to do that, and so early in the season we saw like that deep ball. That's every single one was like a rainbow, and it was throwing off. I think that was throwing off a lot of the accuracy, like not just to Watson but to everyone. Past couple weeks, past 2 to 3 weeks specifically, and we certainly saw it this past week against the Steelers. It seems like that emphasis is just do what is comfortable for you. And he's been ripping those. I think of like that long completion to Reed was on a line, and that's one thing that he's throwing a rainbow earlier. So I think Watson to some extent is in that. Now it is fun. I think this was a couple weeks ago. I think at Last Call Lambeau I think there was Aaron Alice was talking about this. That was like Rodgers had a hard time with Watson as well, and had a hard time with MVS. Like some of that is there's a speed issue, I think, kind of rolled up into some of that maybe the timing's not quite there, especially with Watson having missed some time. There's also one of my things with Watson is it's not that I don't think they're using him wrong, is that I think the best use of Watson is a lot of those kind of intermediate crossers that he can catch and run at full speed. He's not at the moment, he's not a contested catch guy. Like his profile seems to suggest that he would be, and then you put him on go balls and you throw deep to him, and then if it's a little underthrown, he's able to come back and moss the guy over the top. That's not his game right now. Right. And so I think they've got him in too many of those. I think that interception this past week is kind of a double, right? The interception to Watson is a bit double. The first interception to Watson, I guess I should say. That's one that if that ball is put to the back pylon, Watson has a better opportunity to run underneath that, and he can get hands on that. There's no safety right there. There's an opportunity to put placement there. So that's on Love. The accuracy there, that's a little underthrown. But Watson also has he has an issue getting squeezed to the sideline a little bit too much. So he doesn't give Love a whole of. Oh my gosh! Like it's with Dobbs as well. Like both of those guys, you put them on the outside, and they'll get bullied to the sideline. Like you don't have a space to put that. But then the ball's a little underthrown. Watson is not able to come back and get it, and so that one is. I think that's a perfect encapsulation. That's accuracy, because that ball could be thrown a little better. Sure. But then also it's underthrown. But even though it's underthrown, it says wide receiver has a chance to make a play. Like even Jaden Reed, the Jaden Reed touchdown from this past week, that ball is 50 yards on a line. That's still slightly underthrown, but Reed's able to go back and make a play. So I think it is. I think there's a timing issue. I think there is an accuracy issue with Love, and I think there's just an issue with Watson not being the guy that they want him to be right now. And so I think that they need to put him. I think some of it is, again, a little bit of misuse of Watson. I'd like to see him more and more kind of crossers, let him run away from some of those guys across the middle and use his speed there, and then work in the go routes a little later. So I don't know if that answered your question or brought up more questions here.
Well, that was going to be my follow up. Was, do you think they're typecasting him? And to me, that he's the jet sweep motion and stuff like that is stuff that I think we ought to get him back involved with. It seems it's like it's kind of got away.
The funny thing is that they found that sweet spot with him middle of last year.
Right.
That was all a lot of those crossers, and what they've got now. I was mentioning this on Pack a Day today, whatever day it is. The Packers have been using a lot of that. It's that cheat motion stuff that the Dolphins have been using, that short, quick motion to one side of the field. They've been using that since week one, and they've been running something over the past few weeks. It's been quick motion in to like a shallow 3-yard drag, and so you're basically getting your guy up to speed before the snap. You snap the ball, he releases under the wide receiver to that side and runs like a 3-yard drag. And then they kind of will build a wall on the other side. So you're running like kind of into an interference wall. They've been running that with Jaden Reed and stuff like that. That seems to me, that's Christian Watson. Like you can run him on a couple jet sweeps per game, run him with some of those shallow and intermediate stuff where you give him a chance to get up to speed before the snap. And that seems like where you can use him. And that's where they had success with him last year. So I do think they'll get there because they got there last year. I think they're still trying to figure out what to do with all these wide receivers and who's good at what and all that stuff. So because they don't really have, they've got guys with speed, but they don't really have anyone that is like that MVS run fast that way. Like you've got guys with varied skill sets. So I think eventually they will kind of lean back into Watson on these crossers. I think they're just trying to figure out who's good at what at this point. So I think that's probably coming, but it seems a little odd the way they're using him so far.
Well, that to me, I got another one for you here, but I'll just say a lot of what we're discussing to me goes back to something that is encouraging. If so much of this really is truly growing pains, you don't even evaluate these players really truly until probably 3 years in. That's when our cap situation is going to get better. It is one reason to be encouraged if you're a Packers fan right now.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Kenny Pickett and Matt Canada out there, Fire Canada, kind of made the Packers defense look pretty bad at times. My question is is it fundamentals or philosophy? Because there's been a lot of discussion about the Joe Barry defense. We talked to Clayton at Packers Total Access just last week, and we're really defending it because of the way the NFL works, and we're seeing so many fundamentals go wrong. But then you have a team run 205 yards on you on the ground, and now I'm not sure what to think. So can you clear me up on this entire issue? Just answer the entire question.
It's both.
Yeah, there we go.
So one of the things I was looking at, I went through a bit of a thought experiment. I was like drawing up diagrams at like 1 a.m. last night. Like, okay,
holy smokes,
what happened? Yeah, listen, there's something wrong with me.
No,
like,
mad respect.
There's something wrong with me. I can't sleep until I get this down. And so the thought experiment was, I looked at the touchdown, the 6-yard untouched touchdown run against the Steelers, because that's the play that was circulating, right? There's only 2 down linemen. LaFleur gets fired about that. No, it's 4 down linemen, blah, 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 blah. So I kind of went through a thought experiment in terms of like, what do you do in terms of like solely personnel? So on that play, walk with me for a second. The down linemen in the middle, Slayton and Clark. You've got Preston and Gary on the edges that are walked down. So that's like your 4 down linemen. You've got 2 linebackers. You got McDuffie and Campbell. And so they're in Steelers on 11 personnel, right? So they got 1 running back, 1 tight end. So they've got McDuffie, Campbell. You've got Jonathan Owens and Nixon in the box as essentially your other linebackers. You've got 8-man box with those guys there. And then your secondary is Rudy Ford, offset to the left on that one, and then Valentine is your press corners outside. So that's the run again. You say, okay, you've got the 2 down linemen, you got the 2 big bodies there, and then you've got your edge guys there. So okay, personnel's bad, right? The personnel. What's 11 personnel? And so let's for the sake of argument, let's say, okay, we want a match and we want another big body in there. Well, we're going to assume you keep Preston and Gary up there. So in mine, I'm taking off Valentine. You're taking out Valentine, or you're taking out Ford? Probably taking out Ford. No, because you want to go heavy. So you're taking out Valentine, and then you're bringing in, let's say you bring in Wyatt. I don't care who it is. Could be Colby Wooden or whoever. You put in Wyatt. Now you've got your 3 big dudes up front. You're still keeping in Preston and Gary. Well, now let's say the Steelers go spread because they're an 11, right? Your wide receivers are Allen Robinson, Miles Boykin, George Pickens. You got the tight end, Darnell Washington. You got Najee Harris. So now you're spreading those guys out, and now you likely have McDuffie or Campbell on Darnell Washington in the pass game.
Coverage
because you've subbed out one of your corners. So like that, and I think it's less, for me, some of it's like less personnel. It's a very easy thing to look and say, like, you've got 2 down linemen there. For starters, those edges, they draft their edges not to be bendy guys, but to be pocket crushers. So like Preston, Gary, if you want to throw LVN out there, that's the same exact thing. Like those are big dudes. You want to be able to hold the edge. They're not like bendy, loose, contained. Gary's smaller, but that speed to power stuff is like pocket crushing stuff.
Sure.
So it's less about the personnel, and some of it is it's alignment and assignment is basically what you're looking at, because they kind of will spread that front out as opposed to kind of pinching. You've got, I think both those edge rushers on that are like outside the tackles. Bring those suckers in, and then you use contain with like the safeties. Like you pack in the box. You don't want those guys outside, because then you can get double teams on the inside guys. Like that's the problem. If you've got that heavy line, which is your 5, and then I guess Darnell Washington. I apologize if I'm talking way too much about this.
No, go for it.
you're able to kick out your edge with Darnell Washington. You're able to get double teams up front. And so to me, it's less about the personnel and it's more about the alignment and then making sure guys are doing their job. It looked to me like on some of those plays, Kenny Clark, as much as I love Kenny Clark, was kind of freestyling. And those are what I've heard called better be plays, which is if you're going to freestyle and you're going to shoot a gap, you better be right. And if you're not, you've got to have someone behind you that is able to kind of make up for whatever you're doing. Aaron Donald does this stuff all the time. So right now, I mean, I didn't expect anything out of Van Ness this year aside from like get better and be a solid player. Like I didn't expect, I didn't expect any more than 3 sacks on the year out of Van Ness. Just be a solid player, hold the edge. That's what I kind of thought from him this year, and I think he's done a pretty good job at that. So I'll go up with certainly the best is yet to come on him. I've been encouraged with what I've seen from him.
Okay, good. This next one is very near and dear to my heart as I have boycotted the rest of the Chiefs games for the rest of the year. NFL reffing, the officials, how are they trending this year?
Yeah, and feel free to throw in your comments on the lateral.
Boo!
How do you not like that's? I was gonna simple math. That's not even simple math. That's where is the ball when he releases it, and where is the ball when he tries to catch it? Like the position of the body is confusing because the ball was thrown behind him. Yeah, that ball was clearly thrown a yard behind. Like,
yes,
at best,
you could draw a line on that.
You could say it was a lot. You can draw a line, and then even if you want to be the most charitable reading of that, is that it's a lateral.
Yeah.
Which is still a fumble. Like,
yeah.
That's so one of I love, I listen to the Athletic Football Show a bunch, and that's been one of Nate Tice's things this year has been the reffing. He's like, not just like the DPI, whatever, I don't care about that, but his thing has been a whole lot of kind of like the down to down, just things that you should not mess up has been being messed up this year. And so, yeah, I'll go just because it's fresh in the brain, the lateral thing. Like the lateral thing, and then Gene Steratore, who I love.
Oh, give me a break. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. They showed an angle that was clearly behind, and he's like,
clearly.
Well, you can't see anything. Brother, you sure can. Brother, you can sure see. That was at the very least a lateral. So yeah, no, I'm very mad. I don't usually get mad about the reffing. Usually by the day after, I'm fine with it. That was such a terrible, obvious call. Like, I'm still frustrated.
Yeah.
So down as I can possibly be on the refs at this point. Well, not as that. No, listen, not as down as I can possibly be because this is not the Hail Mary. It's not quite that
That's
level.
right. Yeah, but they're paid.
Yeah, I will give them a pass. Yes, I'm very, very down.
I was thinking about going live the other day with a ruler to my screen and just showing.
I did that. I did that once. Yeah, and I had to take it out for people and show them. It was a Jimmy Graham catch years ago that was a first down, and everybody was convinced it wasn't, and you could draw a line and see that it was.
It was Seahawks divisional game.
Was that what it was? Yeah,
It was, or it's the wild card. Yeah, I remember that one because that was the yellow line was off. And everyone was going based on the yellow line.
Right.
But if you look at the market,
it's not official.
I remember that one. Yeah, it was third down late in the Seahawks playoff game. Yeah.
Yep, that's for sure. Yeah.
I won't be surprised to find out later that the refs are being paid for the entertainment value of it all.
Well, did I
they even had an overhead camera. They had an overhead camera. It wasn't even like we don't have a good angle. Like we saw 2 or 3 clear angles.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what was so frustrating.
But at the end of the day, this is an entertainment business. So you got to you got to get people all fired up and give them a reason to talk.
Well, I think
Rashawn Gary having the ball at the 2-yard line is entertaining. To me, that's entertaining.
That's entertainment. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It would have been really exciting because we all thought it was a touchdown and it would have got called back because he stepped out of bounds, and I'd have been fine with that. Yeah. And it would have been right. Yep.
Yeah. And then you get 4 chances at the 2. Like
that's right.
That's also exciting.
That's the way football's supposed to go. I don't know if I told you, Aaron, but I don't know if you did, but I looked up the salary of those guys.
The refs?
Yeah. It's over 200,000 now.
Sure. Well, with extra money for the bonuses.
They're making them. They're making $500,000 on the calls, but
just count what's lining their pockets.
Good to know we're not the only conspiracy theorists over here.
That's right.
That's good. About conspiracy theories, I got a long list of them, man.
I'm going to pick your brain. I've often said for about the last 3 years that the next book I write is going to be a conspiracy theory a novel where the NFL is involved and Vegas gets involved. I think it'd be a great book.
Sure.
Let's go. Let's go.
Sure.
Co-authored. All right.
I don't know about you, but crazy people here in Johnson City are already putting their Christmas decorations up. What are your thoughts on Christmas music and Christmas decorations before Thanksgiving?
Yeah, no, I'm way down on that. So I worked at a couple different bookstores, like retail bookstore jobs for like 5 years, and
Mm.
that was always like Black Friday. I always had to work Black Friday, and starting Black Friday, it was nothing but Christmas music.
Yeah.
Which that's as early as I want to start, but I got so burned on that Christmas music. So even if I have to play it around the house, I've got a couple kids and they like Christmas music. I'll try to find indie stuff, off the beaten path stuff that I can listen to, because a lot of I'm a big Elvis guy, so I listen to Elvis Christmas, but not until before Thanksgiving at the absolute earliest. And then if I have to listen to Christmas music, I try to make it as non-traditional as I can possibly find, because I can't do Bing Crosby anymore. Like there are things I cannot do. So before Thanksgiving, no, you should be arrested. I don't care who.
Okay.
Be arrested before Thanksgiving.
Okay, then that leads me to a follow-up question, Dusty. You know, what is the maximum and minimum penalty then for this? Is what I want to know.
Life.
Okay.
Life with Christmas music in the jail, in the prison cell.
I think there are a lot of people out there who could relate listening to this who've worked retail. And I understand what you're saying, because it's not just that you listen to Christmas music starting in November, but it's maybe an 8-hour track of the same songs. And if you work, 5 days a week, 6 days a week at a job, you're listening to the same songs on a loop for 2 months.
There are like 8 Christmas songs.
Yeah.
And you're just listening to those same ones done slightly different by different people every day until you die. Like that's the way that goes. Yeah. I was gonna say I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. I would. Yeah. I would wish that on my worst enemy. But it's not fun. It's not.
I would.
Well,
too.
It just brings back all those memories. I hear that stuff, and all I think is like, I think of being like, I worked at a Christian bookstore for 3 years. I think about being yelled at over like a Bible special order while the Christmas music is playing in the background. Like I don't want to relive that memory, but that's what goes out of my brain when I hear it. So no,
it's very
under
triggering.
no circumstances.
It's very triggering. Yeah.
All right. We want to know where everyone can find you. I want to give a personal shout out to, and correct me if I've got the title wrong, but it's Packers Playbook that you do with John Kuhn that I just picked up. It came through on my notifications today. Guys, if you're not listening to it, you got to be listening. That's must see TV. We Packers fans love our analysis, and gosh, you guys do a great job. So where can we find you?
Yeah, that's been like I kind of talked about that. That's been amazing. There are different things. I've been writing football for like 10 years or something. There are certain questions and certain things that you can't find up-to-date information on. And so I'll just throughout the week, sometimes I'll just say like, I've had a question about this for years. I'm going to ask John about this. And so this past week, we actually talked about, at the end of the conversation, the idea of a game script and exactly what that looks like and when that's deviated from and what the purpose is, what plays that encounters. That's been something I've had on my mind for like 5 years now. And so I asked John at the end of this past episode, I was like, John, tell me about the play scripts. If nothing else, it's a good way to like get answers to things I'm curious about. That's been amazing. So yeah, that's on, that's weekly over at Cheesehead TV's YouTube. I've been extremely lucky to be able to do that. That's been amazing. And then, everywhere else is usually weekly at Cheesehead TV. Usually on Wednesdays, I'll write weekly up over there. Weekly at Packer Report, usually Tuesdays. Weekly on Packet Day on Wednesdays. And then I've got a Substack that I'll just it's mainly curiosities I'll write about. Personnel packages. I'm put up something about the run defense probably at some point, tracking RPOs. Basically like the stuff that no one really cares about. I'll make a cut up of it and go like, is there anything interesting here? And sometimes there's not. And then I'll write about that anyway. And I've also been, my non-Packers stuff, usually every other week I'll do watching stuff. We're going through Marvel movies with Monty Moore and Aaron Ellis. And this week we're doing Blade Trinity, which is a near and dear movie to my heart. It's so bad. It's so much fun. So we're talking about that on Saturday. So yeah, I'm a little bit of everywhere doing the random little things that like I said, most of this stuff is down the rabbit hole that I'll get halfway through recording or writing going, is anyone else interested in this? So it's fun. It's a good way to question in my brain whether anyone actually cares about it. But it's been, a little bit everywhere.
That's fantastic. And throw out your Twitter if you would. I want to say Dusty _Evely, but let me just throw a plug in because you had listed several books that were helpful in your progress through learning the game of football. And I just found that really helpful. And that's kind of on my summer list right now.
So if I had to do it again, I'd probably pick a different way to do it. But I learned a lot through it. And so if other people want to follow that same path, God help you, but also here are some resources.
For sure.
We're going to add those to the Christmas list.
That's right. Yeah.
I told Brady earlier, I said, my parents have asked me about Christmas stuff. And I said, Brady, we got to get a list together of things we want for the podcast.
There we go.
Yeah,
So we don't have to pay for it ourselves.
Sure.
Yeah, it does.
It sure does. Sure does. Well, all right. Did you have anything else?
No.
Okay. Well, Dusty, we just want to say thank you so much for your time. You've obviously, like you said, been doing this for 10 years. I worked, I think, 10 years, nights and weekends before I made a penny doing this myself. Your hard work and your insight are always appreciated. And we thank you so much for being with us.
I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you so much.
You bet. We'll talk to you soon. Bye. Well, Dusty Evely, ladies and gentlemen, he was a blast. Aaron, didn't we have a great time with him?
Yes.
He is always dropping the football knowledge. I'm sure you appreciate that as well. Guys, we have got a secret word for you today because we might have missed one or two, but we'll figure stuff out with that.
Yeah.
Today's secret word is cheese. Of course it is. This is hot cheese, a new
So
Packers pod.
fitting.
Yes, it's perfectly fitting. So keep in mind, we are going to be at the end of the season doing a bunch of giveaways. We've got a Packers watch to give away. We've got t-shirts, and it looks like we'll probably have some hot cheese merch by the time we do the giveaway. So make sure you're paying attention to every episode. And remember, you can ask us anything at gmail.com. If you have any questions, personal questions, food questions, anything, we'll talk about that. I mean, I think you're willing to talk about just about anything.
I've got some really great crock pot recipes if
All
you
right.
need anything.
Yeah.
It's soup season, you guys. It's soup season.
right.
I know soups.
Yeah.
So
Roll
hit me up.
them out. We'd love to hear from you guys. That's been one of the funnest parts too. It's talking to
Yeah.
guests and talking to you guys. That's great. So you can find us on all your podcasting platforms. We are focusing on and potentially moving to Spotify, which is Anchor nowadays.
Yeah.
We'll keep you up to date on that. In the meantime, hopefully the Packers can get a big win against the Chargers this weekend. It'd be nice to get a little bit of momentum going for ourselves as well. And we will see you next time on Hot Cheese. Go Pack.
Go Pack.